All right. So I want to get a lot of things straight. I'm trying to get the lighting right about redemption. I've had a lot of a lot of messages and everything from me at the time where when they seen redemption when I was homeless and I battled and I showed a lot of videos of where I used to do and where I used to go and everything. So this is what happened. And some people say, they talked about it. And one of the main questions that I had was, it was like, well, if you're around the area where you grew up and your family, why didn't you go to your family? Well, that's a good question. And I would like to talk about that along with other things like that I went through. Okay. So, like I said, but the question with family is that my family ultimately knew that I was homeless, ultimately knew that I was out on the street, but they failed to help or failed to, say anything, about it. They never offered an extending hand or helping hand or anything. Like I've been to the point of where I absolutely positively had no money, didn't know where to go for food, hadn't ate anything, or whatever, and I didn't have, anything. I would go days with just saying, hey, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna drink water and get whatever I can get, you know, which was basically nothing. I ended up getting water. I remember one time to where I basically lucked up and we actually went to a church and it was on a Sunday where they actually were serving a lunch afterwards. And I stayed there and I absolutely tore that lunch up that day. I remember that. Let me just say, and I did that. And the other question was that why wouldn't they let you stay with them? Like I said, they knew, but nobody offered even a helping hand. Even though that I did help family at one point in time when I was homeless. I remember my grandmother got in a really bad car accident. And at that moment in time, when she had that really bad car accident, I decided to go over to my grandmother's house, take care of help, the help being around and everything like that. Um, with my grandfather who was living at the time. My grandfather's not living, Ernest Jackson, rest in peace. Um, for me at that moment in time, it was all about let me help them out. Even though they couldn't help me out, I helped them out, make sure my grandfather got something to eat, making sure he was good, making sure he took his medicine and all in all and everything. And he did so. Even my mother was staying there with my grandparents at the time, so I made sure she was good. She ate, she did what she had to do or whatever, and everything was fine. And I stayed there basically for about a month and a half, almost 2 months. Even when my grandmother came home, I actually helped her out with her, with her getting, make sure she get around, make sure she got everything and everything like that. And I helped her out do that. Um, and it was very nice, very kind. I ended up staying there. Um, for that moment in time. Once she got well to where she could maneuver, I left and I moved on. You know, and for me, I did feel bitter about it about that moment in time because you would figure that if they know you are, hey, family members would say, hey, why don't you stay for a weekend or stay for 3 or 4 days or do what you got to do or whatever. Yeah, but they never did. Some people would tell me, oh, that's tough love, but I'm just saying, like, how tough does it have to get for me in order for me to actually survive? Like I said earlier, is some points where I had no money at all, no money for food or anything, and I did not know how I was going to survive, but I eventually ended up surviving. So, for me, at the time, that was very tough. I also got questions about my previous video where I was talking about Nicole Wilkerson and how things went down with that. I He was like, well, why didn't she ultimately have you just move in? Well, it's a question where what I tell people is that at the point in that time she was actually using me for money, so she wasn't really concerned about where I was at or what I was doing. She was just concerned about trying to get something out of me, and in that point, trying to get something out of me, eventually it was a tough thing. I remember she had to leave the place she was in at the end of August. She found out that I was homeless probably around about April, probably mid-April, close to May. With me getting money from school and everything like that, the one thing that I could have done was this: if she could have thought about it as in, hey, I can help him out by having him somewhere to stay, and I could have caught the bus to school because the school that I was going to had two campuses. It has one in Newport News, has one in Virginia Beach. I could have took two buses to get to the campus that was over in Virginia Beach, and I could take one bus back in the evening. But for her thinking what her underlying plot was to get money out of me, she actually didn't want me there. Because I'll tell anybody this, even though I knew that she wasn't going to have a place for that long, being off the streets for 3 to 4 months would have been a major, major help for me. And it would have definitely been a major, major help for her because I would have ended up helping and paying the bills whenever I could when I got money at the time. And, because ultimately didn't have a job and was broke. And the one thing about it, I look how God changed my life to the point of me maintaining, doing the right things, and uh, just sticking and just following His path, to where I ended up eventually getting help and getting a job, in a part-time job at the time, and then ultimately at the beginning of the following year, I getting a full-time job. So you know, it's a it was a very, very good thing for me. So, people don't know how it is to be out there and to have family that knew what was going on and didn't help, or a girlfriend that knew what was going on, but then only using you for what you can give them. People don't understand how it was out there for me, and I'll give people a prime example. Okay, you're staying in the house, nice house right now, very nice. You have your own car, you're working, everything is good. Let me, at that moment in time when I was homeless, trade places with you at that moment in time. Let me go to your job, go to your house, go to your car, and you trade places with me at that moment in time and figure out what you're going to do to eat, where you're going to sleep, you know, and how are you going to be able to survive, period. I tell anybody that, and it would be a tough time because you couldn't use the money that you have. You just have nothing but a bag with just your clothes. And just think about how tough that is. And just really think about the struggle that you would have to go through, in order, to survive. You know, that's why I tell people, you never know what that person is going through or what they're doing. You know, and that goes for anybody that has everything that they have. And for me at that time, didn't have anything. Um, so this concludes the video. Please, when you watch this, please like the video and subscribe to my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also hit the bell so you get notifications of when I put videos up.